Okay, so leadership, right? Everyone's always telling you how to do it better. Read this book, take this course, be a better coach.
Yeah.
But like, what about good old-fashioned management? Don't we still need that? That's kind of what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah.
We've got this really interesting LinkedIn article by Harold Hillman,
Okay.
and it's all about how to bring more coaching into your leadership style,
Right.
but like without ditching management completely.
Yeah. The classic coaching versus managing debate. It's kind of a false dichotomy, though, isn't it? It's not really about one being better than the other. It's more about knowing when to use each approach.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, I think a lot of us, I know I do, sometimes I catch myself, we fall back on that like manager role more often than we realize.
Oh, totally. And Hillman makes a good point about that. Like right at the beginning of this article, he's like, businesses need management.
Of course, yeah.
Like you need that structure, the
Okay.
process, having clear expectations, all that's essential to keep things running smoothly.
Absolutely.
But I think we've all been there where it's like being managed,
Yeah.
it can feel impersonal sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, here's your to-do list, just go do it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not very inspiring.
Not really. It's like those performance reviews that are just based on a checklist. Yeah, you got to have them, but like, do they actually make you feel good? Energized. It's like, oh, yeah, I want to grow and improve.
No, not really.
Exactly. And that's actually a really key difference Hillman talks about in the article. He's saying that managing is often about maintaining order and checking things off a list, which again, important, but killing. Coaching is about potential. I like that.
It's about igniting potential. It's about seeing the actual person, not just an employee ID number.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so key. And that's where I love how he brings in this sports coach analogy,
Yeah.
because it just clicks right. You think about a good coach, they know their players. They know their strengths, their weaknesses, what makes them tick, and they adapt their approach for each person. They're not using like a one-size-fits-all playbook.
Exactly. And every workplace is like that too, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Some people, they need those really clear, direct instructions. And then others, they need more encouragement and guidance to do their best work.
Totally.
It's a good leader recognizes those individual needs and adapts how they lead. That's where coaching comes in. It's about figuring out what motivates each person. Okay, so less theory, more action, right?
Oh.
Hillman gives us 5 tips for coaching, and I want to unpack those
Yeah, let's do it.
because they're really good.
Yeah.
The first one is all about the prize. He doesn't just say, like, set a goal. He says, focus on the prize, which, I don't know, it just hits different.
It does. In that word choice, it really speaks to this idea of intrinsic motivation.
Right.
Which is so important in coaching. It's not about just telling someone what the goal is. It's about helping them connect to it on a personal level.
Uh-huh.
Hillman talks about really digging deep. Like, what motivates this person? What does success actually look like to them? What does it feel like? It's got to be their prize, not just something you're pushing on them.
That makes sense. Because if you're not bought into the goal, are you really going to be driven to reach it? It's like, remember when you were a kid and your parents were like, if you get good grades, we'll take you to Disneyland.
Yeah.
That trip to Disneyland, that was the
Yeah.
prize.
Yeah.
It was so real and exciting that it made studying a little less painful.
Exactly. And this isn't just for work either. Think about any goal in your own life. Maybe it's finally learning to play the guitar or running a marathon. Whatever it is, having that prize in mind, that vision of what you're working towards can be so motivating.
Totally. Okay, so tip number 2, prepare for the stretch. This one, I don't know, it just really resonated with me
Okay.
because it's all about being okay with discomfort, right? Like that feeling of being a little out of your depth.
Yeah, exactly. But the key here is you don't just throw someone in the deep end and say swim.
Right.
You've got to provide the support they need to navigate that discomfort. Push them, but be their safety net too.
Yeah.
Hillman uses this great example of a kid learning to ride a bike without training wheels. You wouldn't just like give him the bike and be like, all right, go for it. You'd hold on, run alongside them, let go for the sec, then grab on again if they start to wobble.
Yeah.
It's about that balance, finding it between guidance and hand-holding. It's so important with coaching.
Yeah, like that feeling of, okay, this is scary, but someone's got me. I was thinking about when I was learning to snowboard.
Oh, tell me.
Oh my gosh, it was terrifying. But I had my friend there and she would like give me tips. And when I fell, she'd be like, keep back, kid, you got this.
Yeah.
And celebrating those little wins too, like that made such a difference. It does. It made me want to keep going even when it felt hard.
Exactly. And that's it, right? That's prepare for the stretch, making that space where it's okay to mess up as long as you're learning.
Totally. And speaking of messing up, let's talk about tip number 3, reframe the hurdles. This feels so relevant.
Oh, yeah.
Especially these days, right? It's like it feels like we're always facing some new challenge.
Right.
And Hillman talks about looking at those obstacles differently.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that those roadblocks, they can be chances to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you're helping people see those opportunities because some people, they just see a challenge and it's like, nope, can't do it.
Right.
While other people, they see a challenge and they're like, oh, puzzle.
Yeah.
Got to figure this out.
It's like that whole glass half full, glass half empty thing.
It is. It is. And you know what comes into play there? Self-awareness. For both for the coach and the person being coached.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
As the coach, you got to figure out how they see things. Are they optimistic? Pessimistic? Because that'll change how you talk about those challenges with them. Because someone who's not feeling confident, they might make a task seem way harder than it is.
Right.
Or they downplay what they're good at. Your job is to bring in that logic and that encouragement.
Be that voice of reason.
Exact.
It's like being a cheerleader, but like a smart cheerleader. Not just generic cheers, but you're like really giving them what they need to hear in that moment.
Yes. Hillman uses this example of someone leading a big project for the first time. They might be freaking out inside, like, can I actually do this?
Totally.
You, as the coach, you remind them why they were chosen, what they're uniquely good at. You help them see the bigger picture, focus on what they can do.
You're that voice cutting through all that self-doubt. That's powerful.
It is.
Okay, tip number 4. Support with straight talk. This one, when I first read it, I was like, ooh, that sounds kind of harsh.
I did too. Because you think coaching, you think, be positive, encourage them. So where does straight talk fit in?
Right. It felt like kind of the opposite of what you'd expect.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Sometimes being honest with someone, that's the kindest thing you can do.
That's true.
Hillman talks about Jack Welch, his whole leadership philosophy. He was big on direct feedback.
Like his thing was people can't improve if they don't know what to improve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not about being mean about it. It's not about being brutally honest and like crushing their spirit. It's about being real but kind.
Yeah, finding that balance.
Yes. Clear, direct, but you're coming from a good place. You actually want to help them grow.
So it's like, hey, here's what I'm seeing, and here's how it might be affecting things. And because we both want to reach this awesome prize, remember, I want to make sure you have what you need to succeed.
Exactly. You're like that trusted advisor who can say the tough stuff in a way that helps, not hurts.
Right.
And don't forget, timing is everything. It should always be relevant to what you're working towards.
Not just nitpicking.
No. It's about giving them useful feedback that helps them move forward.
Okay, that makes more sense now. All right, and last but not least, tip number 5, lock in the learning.
Ooh.
This is for anyone who's like me who loves to learn new things, but then remembering them?
Yeah. It's like that saying, knowledge is power, but only if you use it.
So true.
You can go to all the workshops, read all the books, but if you don't put it into practice, it's not going to stick.
Right.
Hillman describes it as building muscle memory.
Ooh, I like that.
Because you wouldn't lift weights once and expect to be ripped right.
No way.
It's consistency.
Gotta put in the work.
Yes. And it's the same with like those mental muscles. We got to exercise them.
Find ways to use those skills.
Exactly. So let's go back to that person giving a big presentation for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
They nailed it. You celebrate that win, but then what?
Don't just stop there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As the coach, you help them find other chances to use those presentation skills. Really make it stick.
Turn it into a habit. So it's not just about that one win. It's like, okay, how do we keep this going?
Yes. And you know what else Hillman talks about? Teaching.
Teaching, right? That's a good one. Because it's true, when you have to explain something to someone else,
You really learn it, yeah.
it makes it stick. I remember in college, I used to tutor other students. And like,
Oh, yeah.
that's how I really learned the material myself.
It's true. You have to think about it in a different way. Break it down.
Exactly.
Hillman's point is you can create opportunities for your coachee to do that.
Ooh, like mentor someone else.
Exactly. Share that knowledge.
It's a win-win. They get to solidify what they've learned and help someone else out.
Exactly. Creates this ripple effect of growth on the team.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We talk about this as coaching, and it makes me think.
Yeah.
It's not just for work.
No, not at all.
Like, we can all be coaches for each other in our lives.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
whether it's a friend, a family member, or even just ourselves. Like coaching ourselves through something.
Right. Being your own coach. I love that.
Right.
It's about having that growth mindset no matter what. And what I really like about how Hillman talks about all this is It's not about getting rid of management altogether.
Yeah.
You need both.
It's like having all the tools, right?
Exactly. And knowing which one to use when.
Sometimes you need the checklist.
Yeah.
You need that structure. And sometimes you need to put the checklist down and connect with the person and be like, okay, how can I help you be amazing?
Yes. Be adaptable. Recognize that everyone's different. It makes me think of that Maya Angelou quote. Oh, what is it? People will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Oh, that's so good.
Isn't it?
I'm writing that one down
Yeah.
because it's so true. It all comes back to connection,
It
right?
really does.
Creating that environment where people feel seen and supported so they can do their best work.
And that's something we can all do.
I love that.
Whether we're leading a team at work or just being there for a friend, show up, be empathetic, offer guidance, but don't be controlling. And celebrate those wins along the way.
Yes. This has been such a good reminder that leadership, it's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions
Yeah.
and then giving people the space to figure things out and grow.
So true.
So this week, think about how you can do that. Maybe it's focusing on someone's prize, helping them reframe a challenge, or just offering some honest but kind feedback. Because leadership, it's not a title, it's an action, right?
It is.
And the best leaders, they never stop learning and growing themselves.